Well, today we're talking about proportions. You'll notice that this chapter, our section now went from 3:5 to all of a sudden 4:1. It's because we kind of we do the book a bit out of order. When we take our test, it'll actually be like 3:1 through 3:5, and then 4:1 and 2. So I'll talk about that next week. But we're dealing with proportions here. Okay? How do you know what a proportion is? Cool. Tell your neighbor what you think a proportion is. Okay, proportion. What's a proportion? Oh, we just had 4 people that knew. Now we have no one. From Brennan.
It's like a fraction or a part of something.
Okay, proportion is, a part of it's a fraction, yeah. Remember the other day we talked about ratios? How many remember ratios? Ratio is a fraction. When you set 2 ratios equal to each other, like 1/2 equals something over 8, that's a proportion. Okay? These are proportional. If 1/2 and something over 8 is proportional, what is this? Yeah. It's 4. Someone give me another ratio that's proportional to 1/2 and 4/8. Parker? 5 what? Tenths. How about another one? Annalise? 3/6. Okay, everyone tell your neighbor another one. Okay, well, here's some problems. It says, which pairs of ratios could form a proportion? In other words, is this proportional to that? Does this equal this? Is the question. Well, does it?
Yes.
Okay. How many say, yep, it does? Right? Justify it to your neighbor. Tell them how you know those are. Jake, what do you think?
Because 3 divided by, 6 divided by 3, I don't forgot.
You're not allowed to forget that quick in his class. You can forget like that in English or another class, but not this class.
6 divided by 3 equals 2, and 10 divided by 5 equals 2.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
So really, if you're double this, you get that, and double that, you get that.
Yeah.
Okay? What's another reason why? Chelsea? Okay. 10 times 3 and divided by 5, you get 6. Okay? Yeah?
They can go into each other.
Okay. Twice, right? Okay. TT?
If you multiply diagonal, 3 times 10 equals 30, and 6 times 5 equals 30.
Good. Yeah, a unique piece on proportions is if you multiply diagonally, you should get the same number. Cross multiply. Okay, 5 times 6 is equal to 10 times 3. Right? They both equal 30. So if you cross multiply and they equal the same thing, then they're proportional. And I didn't hear this one, but 6/10 reduces to what? 3/5. They're proportional. Okay? Are these proportional? Figure it out. Justify it to your neighbor. Here you go. How many say, yep, they're proportional? Nope, they're not proportional. So the question is, are they proportional? The answer is no. How come? Mackenzie? Good. Yeah, so the way you justify that, where it says justify your answers, you go, well, 1 times 20 is not equal to 5 times 3. 1 equals 20, and the other equals 15. When you cross multiply, you don't get the same number. They're not proportional. Okay, that's a quick way of testing proportions. Okay, you could also say 3/20 doesn't reduce to 1/5, or 1/5 won't reduce to 3/20. All right. Any questions there? Yesterday with proportions, you guys, a lot of students, either in this class or my other class, really wanted to solve using cross multiplying, and I tried to persuade you not to yesterday because I really wanted you to multiply by the common denominator. Okay? And you can do these problems that way as well. You could multiply this whole thing by 9a. It's a little more complex because you're multiplying by 9a, but you could do that. But today I'm going to show you guys, or just review with you, how to solve proportions. One way is to cross multiply. So if I multiplied a times 8, that's 8a, and 6 times 9, or 16 times 9, what's 16 times 10? What's 16 times 10, everyone? 160. We need one less 16. So take 16 away from 160. What do you get? For those of you who can't do that, it's mental math, right? You're at 16. You subtract 20, or 160 minus 20 is? 100. Okay. What's 16 times 10? 160. Subtract a 16 from 160. You get to 144. You say you have 9 16s, not 10 of them. So this is 144. So 9 times 16 is 144. Solve that now. Divide both sides by 8. A equals, how many have done long division the short way? How many have done long division before? Okay. Long division, where you go like 144, 8 goes into 144, 8 goes into 4, doesn't go into 1, it goes into 14. How many times? Once. With how 1 times 8 is? 8. We subtract, we get 6. We bring down the 4. 8 goes into 64. 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. How many were you doing that in elementary school? How many love that? Oh, okay. Well, if you're doing long division the short way, we do that the same way here. Here's the short way. How many times does 8 go into 14? Once. How many left over? 6. You put that 6 right there. How many 8s into 64? 8. No left over, you're done. That's long division the short way. Dude, it's a quick way. How many of you use your calculator a lot? How many of you challenge yourself to think sometimes, like without a calculator? You should try that if you don't do that. Like that, you should try. Okay? At some point, we might try one later. Right now, I want you to try number 17. A couple comments. First, write your fractions like this. G over 4, 6 over 10, rather than this. G over 4, 6 over 10. Okay? That's a bad habit to get into. Okay? So don't do that. We frown on that. Okay? All right. Here. Remember, cross multiplying, right? 4 times 6, 24. G times 10, 10 G's. That's a lot of G's, dude. Okay? So 6 times 4, that's how we got the 24, and 10 times G, how we got the 10G. Cross multiply. What that does is it just gives us an equation, right? How do we solve that? Kinsey? Did we do that? Divide 24 by 10, I think you said? Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm getting old. You got to speak up. Okay? That gives us 2.4, which is okay because it terminates. Or you could write it as 24 tenths, which is actually reduces to how many? What goes in 24 and 10? 2. How many 24s or 2s in 24? 12. How many 2s in 10? 5. For those of you who are like, man, I hate when he does that, like makes me think. Dude, you guys start reducing. Do the stuff in your head, man. I know. It's called mental math. 2.4 or 24 tenths, which is 12 fifths. How many got it? What are questions? Ask your neighbor if they have questions. Do you have a question? What's your question? I prefer fraction, but either one would work because this terminates. Oh, don't go mixed number. No, don't go mixed number, please. Okay, right now you need to summarize everything we've learned so far in your notes. The first part of your assignment to work on before we start. We're not done with notes today, but we have another piece. But before I give you that, I want to do this problem. How many can do that in your head without a calculator? Okay, I expect that in this classroom, everyone can do that problem without a calculator. Why? Because you're in high school now, man. And it doesn't take a lot for you to think, because you've got a high school mind now. All right? Once again, we're going to go through this. I want everyone to write it down on your paper. This problem, what's this line mean? Divided by it. It's a fraction bar, which means divided by. If you didn't know that, now you know. Knowing's half the battle. Ask G.I. Joe. He'll tell you. For those of you who don't know who G.I. Joe is, that's not good. Sorry. He's a real American hero. Okay. All right. Everyone have it written down? You're going to follow along with me. We're saying this big thing. By the way, for those of you who don't know, commas separate periods. So 172,946,385. Okay? Divided by 4. How many 4s go into 172,946,385 is what we're saying. Okay? So you go 4 without our calculator. Okay? We go 4 into 1. How many times? 0. 4 into 17. How many times? 4. So we put a 4 here. Goes in 4 times. Jaden Kinchin, how many times left, or how many numbers left over? 4 goes into 17 4 times. So 4 times 4 is? No, 4 times 4 is? 16. So how many would you have left over? 1. We put that 1 right here. Okay? What number did we just form with that 1 and the 2? 12. 4 goes into 12 how many times? 3. We put the 3 here. Did it go in evenly? Yeah, so we don't have anything. Okay, we're now to the 9. How many 4s into 9? 2? Okay, with how many left over? 1. Put the 1 in front of the 4. We've now formed what number? 14. 4 into 14, how many times? 3. With how many left over? 2. Where does the 2 go? Everyone put it on your paper where it goes. Don't wait for me. Okay. It goes right there. What number did we form? 26. 4 into 26, how many times? 6 times. 6 times 4 is? 24. How many left are over? 2. Where's the 2 go? In front of the 3. 4 into 23, how many times? 5 times. How many left over? 3. Put the 3 there. 4 into 38, how many times? Oh, some of you are like, uh-oh. 9 times. If you get 10, that's bad because you're not going to put 2 digits. Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, it goes in 9, 4 into 38, 9 times. With how many left over? 2. Where's the 2 go? Front of the 5. 4 into 25, how many times? 6. Now, one of the problems here, if you don't know your math facts, this is really tough. Okay? Now, 4 times 6 is 24. How many left over? Well, look. There's nothing back here. In elementary school, we taught you to add a decimal and a 0. How many remember that? You had decimals and zeros. In now school, high school, we just say that remainder of 1 goes right here, and whatever you're dividing by goes under it. That is your answer. That's much easier. By the way, the fraction's much easier than adding the decimal and zeros. It just takes longer. That's your answer. 43,236,596 and 1/4. Pretty cool, right? If you had this many friends, dude, you're giving them each, well, excuse me, if you had this much money and you had 4 friends, you can give them all that much of your cash just because you're super swell like that. Okay, I'm hoping I'm one of your 4 friends, quite honestly. Okay, 43 million. Yeah.
Why would you give someone that much money?
Just because that's how you are. That's the type of person you are. I'd hope. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Hey, long division the short way. All right, your assignment right now. Mixed side. We're going to be doing the mixed side evens today. Okay. For this part of the assignment, what we've covered so far is these 2 sections. So you're going to go for about 5 minutes working on the top part. You won't finish it, most likely. Some of you will. Okay? And then we're going to move into the next part, which is talking about fraction or percentages. Okay? Make sure you're asking for help if you need it.
So we're only doing the evens.
Only doing the mixed side, and we're only doing the evens today. Okay? So dealing with percent equations. So there are 3 types of percent equations you could see, and these are all the example side. But I want you to write these into your notes and give yourself a little room. There are 3 types. So if you are having a harder time seeing them there, go ahead and look at the example side. But write them into your notes. Give yourself a couple of lines around, and I'm going to show you how to solve those. Pretty darn easy. So here's how we're going to do this. In order to solve percents, it's a lot easier if you're able to use proportions. And the proportion that should always come to mind anytime you're solving percents is called is over of equals percent over 100. Now, how many have heard of that proportion before? Okay, so about a quarter of you. All right, is over of equals percent over 100. Another way to think of this is a part. The is a part. The of means whole. How many percent is a whole, like pizza? What percent is a whole pizza? Yeah, 100%. It's like having 100% on an assignment. So like this is your whole, this is your part. Okay, so you have a part-whole relationship. You're saying this part is to that whole as this part is to that whole. Okay, so when it says find 40% of 125, when I think of the word find, I like to think of the words what is. What is, that's another way of thinking of find. Like what is 40% of 100? So let's zoom in on that there. What is 40% of 100? Well, notice in this, you have is over of equals percent over 100. Well, in this statement, you have an of next to a number. You have a percent because it has a percent sign. And you have a what is. In this case, it was find, but we changed it to what is. Which one is our variable? Our percent, we have to fill in 3 spots. The 100's already there. Is our percent the variable? Is our is the variable? Or is our of the variable? TT? Yeah, the is. The is the thing that doesn't have a number by it. It says what is. So that's our variable. The is becomes x. What's our of? Yeah. Yeah, it's 25. The of 125. So 125 there. Okay, so this is our is. This is our of. You don't have to write those. Is over of equals percent. What's our percent? 40. How do we know it? Because it has the percent sign. And what goes here? 100. How does that relate to what we're doing? Well, how do you solve a proportion? Annalise? Yeah, cross multiply. 100x equals 125 times 40, or 412 and a half, or 500. Now there's, you two had to quit talking. Yeah? All right. So x equals? Dude, Park or Patrick? X equals, is it 50? Oh, this is 5,000. I'm sorry. When I multiplied, I forgot to put the 0 back on. Yep, so it is 50. Good job. So when we look at it, 50 is 40% of 125. Well, 50% of 125 is about 60-ish, right? So 40% and 50, that sounds about right. Keegan, question?
I don't know how to do it on this calculator.
Yeah, you know how to do it on the calculator. The process I'm giving you guys, yeah. Yeah, there is a percent. The process I'm giving you is one that'll work for every percent problem. Okay? And here's how beneficial this is. When I have to take continuing ed classes so I can keep teaching to you. And so one class I decided to take, I'm like, well, I'll do this business math class, and I was just over at Everett. So I took this business math class for these business people that are going into business, and they had problems like this. And it was an online class, and some of the biggest struggles people had were with these problems. And no one ever told those students online to use this formula. I'm like, man, if the professor would just say use is over of equals percent over 100, their life would be so much easier, because all 3 of these you approach the exact same way versus having 3 different approaches for each of them. So yeah, this one's easy. You could just do 125 and hit the 40% key on your calculator, or 0.4 times 125. But that doesn't work on this one. And number 30, what percent of 60 is 25? Well, in this one, if I'm thinking of my is, my of, my percent, and my 100, what's my is in this one? What number is next to is?
25.
Yeah, 25. Or when you're reading it, this is your part. Here's your 25. So your is becomes 25. What's your of?
60. Your is 60.
Yeah?
60.
Yeah. What percent of 60 is 25? There's our 60. What's our percent? Ava? Yeah, that's our x. Okay? So this becomes 25 over 60 equals x over 100. Yeah. And then you cross multiply, yeah. So notice the only thing that changed from this one to this one, other than the numbers obviously, but the variables move spots. Okay, and then you cross multiply and solve. I'm not going to do that there. I know you know how to do that. But like if you did 31, I want everyone to set that up. Use your is, of, and percent and 100. Go ahead and set that one up. Okay, what's our is? Everyone.
24.
Okay, that was one, everyone. Everyone, what's our is?
24.
24. What's our of?
Our variable.
Yeah, of is our x. What's our percent?
30.
30. The percent should be easy. It's the thing with the percent sign. And then we cross multiply and divide. Okay? All right. Any questions there? Guys, you use the same formula every time. Is over of equals percent over 100. How many did the Algebra Academy this summer? Yeah, dude. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Doing that? It's awesome. Okay, the last type of problem you're going to see is one that looks like this, but unfortunately today, guys, we're out of time, man. I know. Evens, similar triangles have ratios when you're comparing a to b and x to y. Think about that. All right? If you watch the video lesson, it should be at the end of the video tonight. Okay? So for those of you who don't get to see it right now, check the video lesson at home. If you don't know how to do it, I'll try to put it on there tonight.